So this is what could happen if you don't learn how to trail brake.
Knee out, don't bring it in, keep it out, keep it out.
So that was my friend Mia taking this course locally here in San Diego on a small CC bike, big empty parking lot, learning how to do full body position and knee dragging. And the purpose wasn't to brake or even trail brake at all. However, what happened is a classic low side crash, but the effect of why it happened, you could use for your everyday riding. So let's watch. So first, as you can see, they're in a parking lot, and in the middle of the parking lot, there's a V. So the cement is kind of like this with the pool of water in the middle. I don't know why this person chooses to do the course right here, but that's beside the point. So either way, so look what happens. So let me rewind it. So let's check this out. So going through, let's just watch it first, fully through. Bam. Now what happened? This is what happened. Watch the front suspension. So you go through the dip, right there, the front tire, the suspension collapses. You see that? And then after the dip, what happens to the suspension? It extends. Front suspension extends, loses grip on the front tire, and classic low side crash. Front tire washes out, and you fall to the low side on the same side that you were going. That is a low side crash. Perfect example of it, okay? So the idea is this. If you're riding around on the twisty mountain roads, or you're riding around on the track, let's just assume already that you're going quick enough to use the brakes. If you're going quick enough to use the brakes, you need to learn how to trail brake. Not learning how to trail brake, this could happen to you pretty easily. That being said, if you're riding around at a really chill pace and you don't even use the brakes at all, well, this doesn't apply to you. What you do is pace determine. So if you're riding around at an easy, chill pace, I'll ride around one-handed. I won't touch the brakes all day long in the twisties because I'm riding very slowly. But if I want to ride a little bit quicker on the pace scale, and I actually have to roll off the throttle, and that's not enough, I have to actually use the brakes, now is probably pretty important to learn how to trail brake. Because this is not trail braking, and this is the effect of what we just saw. So not trail braking is you're on the brakes, the suspension collapses, loads the front tire, less rake and trail, all the weight's on that contact patch. The bike wants to steer a whole lot easier. Good, all good stuff. But not trail braking is you're on the brakes, you do that, and right before the bike wants to lean, you're like, screw it. Let go of the brakes, unload everything at the exact moment you need the front tire grip, which is tip in, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to lean the bike in now. That's kind of crazy. Don't do that. So trail braking is simply releasing the brakes as you tip into the corner. It's not using the brakes in the turn. It's releasing the brakes as you tip into the corner. So that means they're already on the brakes while the bike's up and down. Say you're braking 50%. As you start to lean, 40%, 30%, 20, 10, 9. So your braking zone now includes the first third of the turn. You see what I'm saying? You keep the brake light on past tip in to prevent the suspension from unloading, just like what you saw in the video that was caused by the dip, or it could be caused by braking, letting go, and then just dipping into the corner. Same effect, two different reasons. You see what I'm saying? So however fast you release the brakes is exactly how fast you lean the motorcycle. You're braking 50%, you're at 0 degrees lean angle. As you start to lean, if you lean very slowly, you could trail off brake pressure very slowly. You see what I'm saying? If you lean quickly, you need to trail off quickly. See that? Same thing with throttle coming out of the corner. As you start to accelerate slowly, you start to stand the bike up slowly. If you want to accelerate hard coming out of a corner, you better be able to take away lean angle very hard. And you can't take away lean angle very hard to come out of a corner unless you have the bike pointed in the direction you want to go. And this is especially important for big, powerful bikes. Like my bike, the MT10, my God, you better make sure that damn bike is pointed where you want it to go before you really get on that throttle, because it's going to go. Just like you wouldn't shoot a gun and then point it at the target. Doesn't make any sense. You also would not accelerate until the bike is facing the direction you want to go. And however fast you accelerate, if you just accelerate slowly, you just come out of the corner eventually, keep doing what you're doing. So what? But if you want to have a little fun and enjoy the power of your bike and you want to accelerate hard coming out of the corner, just be sure you're facing the direction you're going. You can start to stand the bike up and take away lean angle, just like Champ School says, right? So that's the idea. But the same thing is true for front tire. You're braking, lean angle, as fast as you lean, trail off. See that? Okay. Now there's other videos like this is like the first time going to the right, and this is very new to her. She didn't practice full bike position, but this is a perfect environment to learn and practice on. You're a very small CC bike, you're going very low speeds, and you're just practicing, right? You're not even on your own bike, which is even better. But here's another clip I'll show you of just going to the left and way more consistent, and got knee down a whole bunch of times to the left, but nothing too like that. So here we go. Here's another video clip. So you can see it's just a parking lot going in circles, touching knee down 3 or 4 times. So it's a lot of fun. Good way to practice on a tiny little bike. Just understand things are different. You got on your own bike, you're going way faster speeds, or you're at the track and the sequence is different. Like you move your butt before the brakes, and then a lot of things to go into it. But when you're first learning how to get your knee down, this is the perfect environment. Small CC bike, big empty parking lot. It just so happened to be raining when they were doing it. But either way, if it was dry, maybe the front tire wouldn't have washed out because you would definitely have a little bit more grip. However, the effect is still the same. The suspension collapsed because of the dip. It unloaded and the front tire washed out. So maybe if it was dry and clear and sunny and really good grip on that cement, it wouldn't have happened, but it could have as well. This is also true if you're in the middle of a corner and you chop the throttle, the suspension will go down, and you get back on the throttle, the suspension will go back up. If you start making the bike bounce around because you're doing this with the throttle, which in turn affects the suspension, you can make the front tire wash out and have a low side, just like she did, without even with the perfect corner. If it was perfect cement MotoGP corner, you can make the front tire washing out by being inconsistent or choppy or aggressive or whatever with the throttle. So if you have to do anything mid corner, like chopping or rolling off or rolling back on mid corner, you mess something up. The whole purpose of corner entry, get the bike slow down to your comfort, turn facing the right direction, stand the bike up, accelerate out, right? That's the idea. So if you go into the corner, you slow down to your comfort. That's always rule number 1. If you're going quick enough to use the brakes in the first place, you might as well be trail braking. You're braking 10%. As you lean, just keep the brake light on, then slowly trail off. And then you just be patient mid-corner, because this is the problem. People get too impatient mid-corner. They start to accelerate, unloads the front tire, unloads the front suspension. Now the bike wants to go straight, and you may not be pointed in the right direction yet. So like, oh, I'm not going to make the turn. So you end up adding more lean angle while the throttle is open, front tire's unloaded. You could also low side. So underloaded front tire is the most common crash there is. There's no weight on the front. They wash it out either because they let go of the brakes and they tip the bike in, or get on the throttle too soon and then start to add lean angle, or just doing something stupid with the throttle mid-corner, right? So the effective is this. So let me pause it. So you go through, right? Let's watch. Go through right here. Bam. Watch, look at the front tire. Look at the suspension. It collapses. So let's say right now the bike is upright and this is you braking before a turn. Now, right before you lean the turn, this is what you do. You just decide to let go of the front brake and then tip it in. And then this is what could happen. Suspension unloads. Whee! And that's a low side crash. And look where she crashes, right? So you're falling to the low side. You're going right, you fall to the right. That's what a low side crash is. A high side crash is the rear tire messes up. It regains grip because you got on the throttle too aggressively. Once it regains grip, she would fly over the left side of the bike, the high side of the bike. That's what a high side crash is. A low side crash, you fall into the direction you're going. So she's going right, she falls to the right, low side. By going knee touches the ground first, like, yeah, you got your knee down, but then bam, gets her elbow down, and then her hip down, and then shoulder, and then maybe helmet. But this is the whole purpose of full quality gear. And this is only, didn't get injured. She's fine. You could check out her social media right here if you want to ask her questions about the course or anything else. But didn't get hurt, popped back up, kept on practicing the rest of the day. But a good place to learn. Small CC bike, lower speeds. So the effect is the same though. Loading and unloading the front tire, either because of a bump, a dip in the road, everything else. So also something to think about when you're on a track. The ground is relatively smooth and nice because you're on a racetrack, right? Doesn't mean you're racing, you're just doing a track day. And all that means is you're practicing cornering in a safe environment. Is the best place and safest place to go fast at a track. So I highly recommend everybody do a track day. You owe it to yourself. I don't care if you're on a Harley, a sport bike, anything. You take any bike to the track. Every time I've been to the track, I've seen tons of U-Haul trucks, U-Haul trailers, people taking their adventure bikes, Harleys, whatever else. Just have street tires on the bike, go to the track. It's a lot of fun. It's the safest place to go as fast as you want. There's no speed limit. There's no guardrail to hit. There's no oncoming traffic. There's no cliff to fly off of. It's amazing. Go to track days. You'll love it. But think about this. Inconsistent of the road, like bumps and dips, public road, if you don't know the road or you're going too fast for your skill or both, you're in the middle of a corner, you hit a dip, the same thing could happen to you. Because you could watch her throttle as she's going through here. It's not like she chopped the throttle and then added throttle, because that can make it do it if she was on a different part of the circle. But you could watch her throttle hand. Look at, we'll watch it straight through. Look at her throttle hand. Kind of on and off right there. But at the point where the suspension is unloading and loading, she did a good job of holding the throttle steady, because otherwise it would have made it worse. But it was a little choppy before, but once you went through the puddle, it was steady throttle, and the suspension and the front tire loading and unloading is what caused the crash. So it's a little choppy right there, but now watch. There it goes. So perfect low side crash. That's the definition. That could be in a book or a video, like this is a low side crash. But either way, if you're on the twisting mountain roads and you're going fast enough to use the brakes in the first place, don't just let go of the brakes and tip in, because you don't want this happening to you. And keep in mind, everyone, that was at the beginning of the day, going to the right where she washed out. At the end of the day, going to the left a little bit better. Everybody progresses the more you practice, obviously. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be mistakes. If you want to make an omelet, you got to crack some eggs. When I learned how to do stuff, I crashed and tipped the bike over many, many times. It's just part of the process. So keep that in mind. But here's a little clip at the end of the day when she's doing better going the other way.
You're right there.